With EA Sports UFC 4 on the horizon, so close yet so far away, I decided to make another video of features I would like to see implemented within the game. Hi, I'm Killing337 and this is 4 things UFC 4 career mode needs. Number 1, online fights. It's no secret, guys, that when you played career mode in UFC 3, you hit a spot where you kept fighting the same fighters over and over again. Eventually, the actual UFC fighters retired and it became oversaturated with creative fighters that had a rivalry with you, and you had to keep fighting them to become the GOAT, and it got annoying. With this type of feature, not only would it switch it up a little bit, it would add an interesting feature to the game where you can take your actual creative fighter to go against somebody else in a fight where the stats and the win-loss ratio would affect your career and as well as your career damage overall. Everything would be based off of skill-based matchmaking, based off your overall striking, grappling, stamina, health, even your win-loss ratio. It's crazy to think that you could fight people online in career mode. It's similar to Ultimate Team, but it's actually just your career. If you win a couple fights, you rank up and you move up in the rankings quicker. You can even have a leaderboard. Also, if you lose, you would have to retire sooner and maybe just start over on a career mode again. It adds that type of interesting, type of setup for you to actually, make this your career, and that type of custom feeling that we're not really used to when it comes to career mode. I just picture you being able to talk crap to somebody, send them posts on social media, little training videos of you sparring, having a time limit so you guys can build up the fight, build up your fighters, and then go against each other on a fight card. That seems like a very interesting concept to me, at least. It would definitely change the way you play the game towards the end of your career or throughout the game. Overall, just a fun idea I figured I'd throw out there, and hopefully they heard it. Number 2, Ultimate Team. It's no secret that it was a feature in career mode at some point where you could go to Ultimate Team, become the Ultimate Fighter, and then go into the UFC. It was a fun process. It was a spin off the show. I enjoyed it. It was a nice feature to have within the game. At some point, they took that out and they let you only fight in the LFA, then getting picked up through Dana White's Looking for a Fight. Not to say that that's not an interesting concept, but some people did enjoy the Ultimate Team format. Not only would you bring it back as a way to do your career and start it, but eventually you could do it as a coach that leads up to a big fight, such as a double belt champ type of thing. You could help pick people, train them, kind of like the actual show. It'd just be a lot more interactive. You can make it a whole interactive experience. You don't have to do the challenges or stuff like that and make it really corny with the pranks, but you being able to pick the fighters and do stuff like that, that's an interesting thing to me, at least, where you could actually become the coach and you can be the contender in the Ultimate Fighter. It doesn't have to be a mode by itself, but it would be nice to have put into career mode for UFC 3. Imagine you pick your fighters, you make them go against each other and stuff like that. Kind of strategic. You train them and you can possibly make somebody else's career. It could be fun. You could also add the online type of thing to it. You pick fighters online, they fight against other fighters. It could just be very interesting overall. Content, ladies and gentlemen, content. So definitely a feature I wish they would add to career mode. Number 3, online training camps, gyms, and teams. There was one point in the UFC franchise where you were able to have online training camps, teams, and gyms. Something that I personally missed, especially now that I am better at the game and could finally get into a gym myself. You could make your own gym. You could train there. It would be an online experience. You wouldn't have to go to these crappy training gyms that they have in the game, these basic ones that are based off of style and stuff like that. You could join or make a gym with other players online, make it more of an interactive experience, an actual, you go and you find a gym that's right for you, can customize the gym, make the logo, can set it up how you want, you can go back and create goals for it so you could become the ultimate gym that everybody wants to go to. Stuff like that makes me very, very interested in seeing in the game itself. And you can train there, you can spar with other people that are available. I remember that being a huge thing in the UFC, maybe like the the Ultimate Team or something where you were able to actually go to a gym and they had goals and stuff, tournaments and stuff like that that you could actually do. Those are things that I would like to see put in this game. It would just make it an overall interactive experience, and it'd be very custom. It wouldn't be such cookie cutter stock type of thing. You know, you could actually go to a gym, become a member of that gym, and it goes back to the online fights as well. You know, you could actually have rivalries between other gyms. It just would really, really fuel up your career mode in UFC. Overall, I think it's kind of dope to think about and to have that in here and be able to go over there, train, have the logo on your background, stuff like that. Number 4, more interactive events. You have press conferences, face-offs, photo shoots, pre and post-fight interviews. You can cause commotion. You can do all that type of things. It could be borderline WWE type of things, but if they did it the right way, it wouldn't have to be. Similar to when you reply to tweets, you can reply it meh, happy, negative, like badass type of thing. You can do it all the way around. You have these face-offs where you could disrupt them, push the guy, cause commotion, stuff like that that'll make it more of an experience, more your career, more like you're in control of what's happening exactly in this game mode. Photo shoots as well. You stand the guy up in there, you do one of your crazy moves, take a picture, more interactive experience, more interactive press conferences and stuff like that. You can answer questions, you can call out people, post-fight, pre-fight, you can talk all this crap in the world to your opponent. Just be really cool cutscenes and a lot more interactive. I'm more focusing on interactive because it seems like UFC 3 wasn't really interactive. They did their best, but at some point it got boring and you played it once and you never wanted to play it again. And that leads us to our honorable mentions. Really simple thing, guys. Number 1, take your character as is to the Ultimate Team. Similar to when you finished career mode in UFC 3, they gave you a pack with a card for a created fighter that you could use in the game mode. But this time they actually let you take your character as is, the stats as is, and they give it to you a one-time thing only, to where like your character's like a master card, and it'd be a really nice thing to have in Ultimate Team. Me being a heavy calf creative fighter person in Ultimate Team would be a nice thing to have, especially since they don't have those type of high rated cards in Ultimate Team. Eventually they caught on and they started doing it, but out the gate this would be a nice thing to have, similar to the way that they do it with Conor McGregor, Amanda Nunes, stuff like that. Second honorable mention would be a storyline. Not a cheesy one, doesn't have to be like he's gonna go to jail or, you know, stuff like Fight Night-ish, but it could definitely be an interesting thing to do and add. Just a storyline, a real basic one. Doesn't have to be based off anybody else like Conor McGregor and stuff like that. Just an original storyline, maybe a voice line that he could say. You know, your character actually has a voice. Doesn't really have to be something crazy, but a storyline would be nice. That's why I put it, but I put it as an honorable mention because it's not nothing that I really want in the game. The third honorable mention would be being able to spend your earnings on something. You got to a point where you had millions upon millions of dollars in career mode, couldn't do nothing with them besides, you know, go to your gym and train. That, you know, was a waste of time and a waste of money. Instead, you could waste it on your gym upgrades online, maybe suits, outfits, fight gear, something other than just getting a camp and getting a couple weeks to train. All that money was just sitting there at the end and it drove me crazy. Number 4, instead of the LFA, maybe even instead of the Ultimate Team, the Contender Series would be a nice way to start off career mode. It's similar to the Ultimate Fighter, but it's straight to the point, guys. Go there, you fight, you do good, you get a contract. Could be nice, you know, doing that before the actual UFC fights. It gives you enough time to actually build up your character so you could go to the UFC. So in my head, it would be the LFA first. You do a couple fights there. Contender Series, you do a couple fights there, and then eventually you go to the actual UFC. An extra step goes a far, far way when it comes to building these characters and building up the strength, learning moves, the attributes. And that is it for today's video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. I will be coming out with what Ultimate Team needs in UFC 4 type of video, where I'll go more in depth with things I would like to see in UFC 4 and things that they should fix, as well as not do ever again in their lives. Anyways, guys, I'm out.
the champion of the world, Killing Spree 37!